Well, good morning, everyone. This is Mike Romali here with the Hurricane Season 2020 update, part of the Hurricane Outlook and Discussion for August 30th, 2020, recorded around 10:17 a.m. Eastern Time. As a quick reminder, we are supported by our Patreons. Again, if you do want to sign up for our Patreon, this is just new and was launched earlier this morning. Again, you can kind of see all the levels here. If you guys do want a more in-depth look at all the levels and what you guys get, of course, links will be in the description down below and also in the top right-hand corner of today's video at about this point in time when this starts. All right. Well, that being said, on to the tropics. We do have a couple of things to watch here now over the next several days. First of all, we have a large area of disturbed weather from the Gulf Coast, draping really from Florida all the way off the east coast of the United States. This is going to provide some inclement weather over the next few days towards portions of Florida as this kind of system moves off in towards the northeast and the North Atlantic. Over the warm Gulf Stream, this has a high likelihood of development, a 70% chance according to the Hurricane Center, and this will be moving off generally in towards the North Atlantic. So again, for you folks here in the Carolinas, this is something they're going to be monitoring, but we are not expecting any significant impacts to the Carolinas from this particular system over the next several days. We have another impulse of energy coming from the Midwestern states right now. We also have a couple of things to talk about in the deep tropics. First of all, Invest Area 99L. We'll talk about that here in a moment. We have a plethora of tropical disturbances out here that the Hurricane Center is kind of keeping tabs on. First of all, a very innocuous looking but disturbed area of weather right here in the Central Atlantic. Another one in the Eastern Atlantic, and another one coming off of Africa now. And we talked about this. This is basically the wave train. We've got a couple of waves here that are expected to develop over the next couple of days or potentially. We also have a wave right now over Florida from an impulse of energy that just kind of hung around here over the Gulf Coast states. This will be moving up towards the north. This will be moving generally due west. This will be moving due west. And then these two remaining systems will also be moving due westernly. So that will be something that we have to watch here. You can see a close-up on Invest 99L this morning. Again, not really noting much rotation with it. Again, there's not really a whole lot going on with the rotation right now. But there is some showers and thunderstorms. You notice a general consolidation area right now. Showers and thunderstorms passing through the Lesser Antilles. Again, heavy rainfall is the main concern right now. But this does have a better environment off towards the west here over the next few days or so. Currently, the Hurricane Center forecast map looks like this. This tropical disturbance has a 70% chance over the next 5 days, as this will generally move off towards the west-northwest. Again, for the Carolina coastline, especially North Carolina, the Outer Banks, this could bring some inclement weather in terms of heavy rainfall and maybe some squally conditions from time to time, but no significant impacts for the Carolinas. This tropical wave, a 30% chance over the next 5 days. This will be more of a threat for Central America. So for you folks down here in Central America, this will obviously be a pretty significant concern in terms of heavy rainfall and flooding potential. Also, Jamaica, just keep an eye on this. But in terms of this kind of moving into the Gulf of Mexico right now, the general steering pattern with a ridge of high pressure right now is going to be building back in over the north here, should allow this to kind of track further off towards the west. This little wave right here was a 40% chance, but it got degraded to a 30% chance because it's very limited in the convection. But this generally has a more favorable environment by the time it reaches the western part of the Atlantic Basin over the next 5 days. And we have yet another wave just coming off of Africa with a 30% chance over the next 5 days. This too will be moving due westerly, and this too will have a much more favorable environment once it reaches the central and western Atlantic Basin. So this will be something we all have to watch. Again, right now, the biggest concern is going to be this system coming off the Florida coast here and moving into the open Atlantic Basin. Our next big area that we're going to have to watch is down here. This will be potentially Tropical Storm Nana over the next couple of days as this moves off towards the west-northwest, or I'm sorry, northeast rather. And this will be something that we'll have to watch for potential Tropical Storm Nana out here. This will also be a consequence for Central America. Heavy rainfall certainly is going to be something that we're going to really have to watch there. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going. Okay. So for Invest Area 99L, we wanted to kind of talk about this. Again, this was just designated not too long ago. So there's not many models that are kind of running on this. What you have right here is the statistical models. This is basically purely based on statistics where a storm in this environment is usually going to track. And right now you can see the XTRP, that's the extrapolated motion of the storm right now. The inferred motion is due westernly here. You notice some of the models now kind of bring this off towards the west-northwest again, and then basically continue it. Now there's a pretty good spread. There's from the TBAM to the TBBD, the TABD model. This is basically your convection model, or the convective parameters. Basically, the TBAM is a medium convection, the TABD is deep convection, and the TABS is shallow convection. And this is basically going to show where all of these systems are going to go. And again, right now, the general steering flow over the next couple of days is going to be pushing this off generally in the west-northwesterly direction, and then could force this into Central America. But again, there's a pretty large spread here, and we don't have a closed low-level center of circulation at this point. This is just a broad area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms. This will be moving into the Caribbean, where it does have a better chance once it reaches these areas out here in the Caribbean. But again, right now, at least for the time being, we don't have anything significant. This is the intensity guidance, the early cycle model guidance here. Again, this is purely the statistical models, so these are not convective allowing models, basically. But most of these models, interestingly enough, it's generally an upward trend. The SHF5, this is basically the Shift4 model. This is basically your climatology and persistence model right here. So if the National Hurricane Center is not beating this model, the Shift4 model, we basically have no confidence in this. We basically have no skill in the forecast. And if they are beating it, we do have skill. That's just kind of the way they kind of get to track their skill guidance, basically. But most of these are purely statistical models, although the SHIPS model is a statistical and dynamical model. At the same time, it's a blend of both. And this does note that it will have intensification chances as it tries to organize. But again, right now, we don't have a closed low-level center of circulation. It's going to take a little while for this to actually develop in here. So right now, our chances aren't overly that high. You notice some arc clouds. These are suggestive of dry air in the environment. So once again, almost like what we saw with Marco a couple of weeks ago, or the same general process is going to apply here, where, you know, it's going to take a little bit. It's going to take a little bit to get this thing fully functional and fully organized into a tropical cyclone, if at all. So that's going to be something we'll really have to watch here over the next 5 days or so. But generally speaking, the upper ocean heat content values, if this was to develop, is fairly substantial. Again, basically what you're really looking for is these greens through your darker reds. That's your higher end of the upper ocean heat content values. This is basically your latent heat release in the potential. And if the tropical cyclones come through an area of high upper ocean heat content, like out here in the Caribbean, it's unlikely to upwell significantly cooler water, because obviously tropical cyclones upwell water from deep down in the ocean surface, and they upwell cooler water from down there, and it cools off the ocean. You don't necessarily have that when you have high upper ocean heat content values. It depletes it for a little bit, and then it rebounds very quickly. And you can already start to see that starting to happen now in the Gulf of Mexico from the remnants, or from what was Hurricane Marco and Hurricane Laura. There's an area of significantly cooler upper ocean heat content values. We'll highlight that better here. A little bit lower upper ocean heat content generally in this area, but generally that's because of Laura and Marco. And then we have a fairly high amount down here in the Caribbean, which does sustain the potential for intense tropical cyclones in this general vicinity, especially if they're already organized coming in through this area. So we're going to have to watch this, because this is in a fairly favorable environment. These actual sea surface temperatures at the very skin of the water, the very top, the very surface of the water right now in the Caribbean from the CDAS methodology is running roughly about 29 to 30 degrees or 29 to 30 degrees Celsius right now. This generally equivalates roughly about 88 to 89 degrees Fahrenheit. And really you need about 80 degrees or so for tropical cyclones or so. Or the 26 degree isotherm basically. So we have plentiful of fuel in this general environment. And you even notice right here off the coast where we're going to possibly getting our next named system with Nana. These upper ocean heat content values are pretty warm off the coast here. And they continue right up all the way out to here basically. So these upper ocean heat content values generally favor a tropical cyclone to form off the east coast of the United States and then kind of move up like that. And again, these sea surface temperatures, especially with the profile that we have right now with the Gulf Stream that kind of runs in through here. That's kind of the Gulf Stream running roughly about 30, 29, 30 Celsius all through in here, all the way up the Carolina coastline. And still running 28, 27 Celsius, 27, 28 Celsius all the way up here. So we still have a very favorable real estate basically for a tropical cyclone to form somewhere within this general vicinity. So this will be something we're going to have to watch here very carefully and what impacts it's going to bring for the Carolinas. But again, not really expecting any significant impacts, but we'll really have to watch that. And again, there, Invest 99L is in a pretty favorable environment with water temperatures sitting right now about 28, 29 Celsius, moving into a higher upper ocean heat content realm and a higher water temperature realm as well with about 29 to 30 Celsius. So that is something we're going to really have to watch here over the next several days. So what does all the models show? Well, this is the 6Z GFS forecast, valid as of 7 a.m. this morning. And again, this is the 850 millibar vorticity. This is the spin in the atmosphere at about 5,000 feet off the ground. And these darker reds here, this is your higher cyclonic spin at the 5,000 foot level. A couple of things to point out. You notice your big subtropical ridge right here, your big Bermuda Azores high basically dominating this area. And that is going to be the general theme over the next several days. But you notice Invest 97 or 99L. You notice also what happens in the model field. This is 36 hours out. We got a small little compact tropical cyclone there, or at least an area of vorticity in the GFS forecast moving off towards the north. And again, your big ridge of high pressure is right here. Now, interestingly enough, this little area of troughiness right now that we can see positioned over the east coast and off the kind of eastern seaboard in Florida, this is basically going to be eroding this big ridge of high pressure that's out here. It's going to basically be eroding this ridge of high pressure. So what ends up happening is our tropical cyclone, or what could be a tropical cyclone or a tropical storm Nana, would eventually kind of move out into the open Atlantic Basin. It kind of has that escape route. Now, of course, a lot of things can change between now and 5 days from now, or 48 hours from now. But the general consensus is that this ridge of high pressure right here is going to generally be weakening and broken down by this troughiness in through here. And if we do have a tropical cyclone in here, whether it's a tropical storm or whatever, is going to generally be moving off towards the north and kind of rounding this ridge. This is kind of rounding the corner pattern that you kind of see so often, that this ridge is going to break down. Our storm is going to be allowed to kind of be pushed off to sea and then get caught up in a mid-latitude jet out here. You notice these very tight gradient winds suggesting a pretty strong jet of wind out here, and this will be responsible for then converting it into an extra tropical cyclone, along with other processes such as decreasing sea surface temperatures, etc. You notice eventually that passes pretty close to the Outer Banks. But again, that will be something we'll have to watch. And then again, it just kind of gets caught up in a mid-latitude area. Our little system out here, the GFS forecast wasn't really excited about. And the European forecast model, for what it's worth, again, this is the 0Z Ron, develops this little system, our high chance of development off the east coast of the United States, Once again, our ridge of high pressure is a little bit different here on the Euro. We have a kind of this ridge of high pressure that's extending out here. We also have a blocking pattern that's kind of stretching to the north. This big ridge basically is in control towards the north, but it is weakening as the storm kind of is moving towards the north. And the reason why is because this isn't a very strong ridge to the north of the storm, and any little area of low pressure is going to be easily able to kind of penetrate this ridge of high pressure. And so it does, and it kind of forces it off towards the east here. And you can see that area of high pressure gets basically forced to the east, and then we have a new ridge that forms and extends down towards the south basically and off towards the north of our storm. So that's kind of our elongated ridge of high pressure with the center roughly located in through here. And again, that's forcing then these tropical waves off towards the west here that form down in the deep tropics. And then you can kind of see the GF or the Euro basically kind of trying to spin up a couple of tropical cyclones. This is Invest 99L right now in the deep tropics. And again, just because the model doesn't show any development, it certainly seems like that there could be at least some theoretical development over the next 5 days. It is moving into an increasingly favorable environment. Relative humidity values are going to continue to increase. The shear will be one problem, running at about 10 to 15 knots of wind shear, but generally that's on the neutral to more favorable environment. So you might get some consolidation in some efforts of a tropical cyclone to form down here in the Western Caribbean. So for you folks down here, of course, in Jamaica and obviously Central America, you need to be monitoring the progress of 99L, as things are going to be rapidly evolving over the next several days in terms of where this might go and if it's expected to develop or not. And then, of course, out here, the Euro at the very end of its forecast point right here is trying to develop more tropical cyclones coming off of Africa. We have another piece of energy approaching the Bahamas in through here. Again, you can't really trust any little area of vorticity approaching the southwestern Atlantic this time of the season. But again, that's beyond 5 days, so that's kind of beyond our realm of understanding what's really going to happen. But the general idea is that we should have multiple tropical cyclones that could form, especially this one right here, what will eventually be Invest 90L, moving off towards the north here over the next few days. This may bring some localized impacts to the Carolinas here over the next several days, especially the Outer Banks. Heavy rainfall and squally conditions, the main threats there. We are also watching Invest Area 99L right now in the Lesser Antilles, moving in towards the Western Caribbean. Again, this is going to be a threat mainly for heavy rainfall and flooding concerns for Jamaica and Central America over the next couple of days. Again, not really expecting any significant organization and intensification of this, but we are going to have to watch this very carefully, as this is going to be coming up in a more favorable environment. And then these two tropical waves out here, this will be something that we're going to have to watch as these both move towards the west here over the next couple of days and enter a gradually increasingly favorable environment out here in the western and central Atlantic basins. All right. As a quick reminder, again, we are supported by our Patreons. If you do want to sign up, obviously click the link in the description down below, or you can click on the top right-hand corner of right here, and you guys can see the Patreon. And if you guys do want to sign up, again, this is what we're doing. All of our stuff right here, basically. And again, this is going to help to fund our hurricane weather research projects. And this is also going to be able to help to continue for further education, my education, and college, obviously. And this will all go towards great things. And again, if you guys do want to obviously see more of this, we can always add more as time goes on, and we can grow. So if you guys do want to go check that out, of course, click on the top right-hand corner, the little eye in the sky, basically, and it will kind of show you and kind of link you guys to this. So again, if you guys want to see that, make sure you guys do check that out. All right. With that being said, thank you all for tuning into today's video. Again, this has been a fantastic day. Again, if you guys do want to check out the person behind my graphics, I'll kind of pull this up real quickly. If you guys do want to check out the person behind my graphics, if Twitter will load for me, we'll kind of wait for that to load. I really should have had this kind of pulled up beforehand. But if you guys do want to go check out the person that is doing these graphics here. Of course, you guys can, his Twitter link right now is underscore graphics max. He is a very great person, very easy to help, and he does a lot of great graphics. So if you guys do want to go check him out, make sure you guys do. All right, that being said, have a great rest of your, this is Sunday, yeah, have a great rest of your Sunday morning and afternoon. I'll be back with another live stream later this afternoon. Stay safe, everyone. Have a great rest of your afternoon, morning, afternoon, and evening. Of course, I'll be back with another live stream later this afternoon. Stay safe, everyone. I'll talk to you guys more later.